I'm doing a full face of makeup using Bare Minerals, and I'm going to start with the Smooth Serum just to help with those little pesky fine lines that I'm getting. A little bit of eye cream, Bare Minerals Skin Longevity, really nice. You can take it right up around the eye, it doesn't irritate. So I take it over the eyelid, around the orbital bone, and it helps makeup go on much better. I'm going to use my tinted moisturiser. Bare Minerals call it Complexion Rescue. It's water-based, so you shake it to wake it. So I'm only going to use that much, but the good thing about it is it's got the mineral SPF in it of 30. So although it's January and we don't need to worry about the sun, we do need to worry about the UVA. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, it would be, for goodness sake, use SPF every day on your face, backs of hands, and for those of you that drive, your right arm. Look at that sun damage. I used to do loads of driving with my job and I've got so much sun damage. I'm going to use a little bit of the new primer. It is amazing and it really blurs like my open pores. You do need to give it a minute to dry down. Otherwise, it can sometimes pill. While that dries down, I'm going to use the concealer, mineral concealer, and I'm going to take that over my eyelids and around my eyes, and then just on the areas where I'm getting redness, just blend that out. So I'm just doing light butterfly taps because I don't want to, if I go too heavy, it's going to take it all off on the brush. So just light butterfly taps is going to press that product into my skin and give me more coverage. And obviously I need more coverage around this area because I've got a lot of darkness. What I like about using, it doesn't matter whether you use your fingers or a brush, whatever works, but whatever, brush or finger, what's left, I take around these bits because you always get a little bit of redness around here. Just stippling that so I get more coverage. But it's very, I'm not going too hard, so I'm taking it off on the brush. I'm just doing light little taps to press that into the skin, lift the brow up so I get into all the creases. And then, yeah, just feathery touches on the bit that I put at the top. So we're going to go in with the original foundation. You tap the loose pigment into the lid, and you want a kind of amount that you would have as chocolate on a cappuccino, is what they say. I'm going to take the brush that goes with it, which is really good because you get the pigment in the middle and it's the skirt that blends it into the skin. So you swirl and you tap. This is the original foundation that's like 30 years old. It had its anniversary last year. I've always loved this, mainly because it's so quick. You literally go swirl, 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 and it's done. And then the more you kind of buff it, the better you're going to get in terms of application. The same range as the tinted moisturiser, they're all called Complexion Rescue, so they pair really nicely. One is the highlighter and one is the bronzer, which is basically a blusher mixed with a little bit of bronzer, so it's a bit warmer than a blusher. You don't need much. I'm literally taking that much, and then I'll take a little bit of the highlight. You can use a bit more of the highlight actually. This is a bit more forgiving. I usually put them on the back of my hands and use that as a palette, and then I put them on. So I'm going to start with the apples. I'm going to take it right up, a little bit into the socket of the eyes for a bit of warmth, and then I'm going to go in with the highlighter and literally follow that line. So it's going to kind of be blended into one, and then on the brow bones, and I'm just going to blend that all together. Kind of looks a bit less crazy when you start blending it in with the brush. I'm now going to set all of my cream products with the original translucent. It's a nice one because it's really finely milled. I'm just going to make sure, having said that, that all of the concealer is pressed into the skin. There's no kind of creasing going on, because before I set with the powder, if I set with powder and it was still sitting in a crease, the powder would kind of sit on top and show that. So you just want to make sure you've really pressed everything in before you set with the powder, otherwise you'll be locking in anything that's creasing. So I'm just going over, I'm going quite hard on this, I mean not hard, but I'm pressing it into the skin, so it's setting all of the cream product that I did. I'm going to go over my T-zone, areas where you don't want to look shiny. So now the Bare Minerals Warmth, I use Shade Faux Tan because I'm quite pale. You don't need a lot. I always put a little bit in the lid like we did with the original foundation. I'm going to use their bronzing brush. It's quite nice because it's pointed so you can get into the contours of your cheeks. And don't worry if, like here, you're like, oh my giddy aunt, because what you can do is you can go back in with the original brush, the foundation brush, and blend it out. So I tend to go for areas where the sun's going to hit us, so like the cheeks, a little bit of contouring in the cheekbones, around the edge of the face, under the chin, and then kind of sides of the nose, over the eyes. And then from there we're just going to buff it. Again, because it's minerals, the more you buff, the better the application will be. Striker Rose is the blusher. So I'm going to put a bit of this on the apples. And again, just blending that into all the others so it just looks really seamless. Lips. Charming Pink and Spirited Long Wearing Lip. It's a really nice, soft, creamy lip liner. And this goes on really, really nicely and creamily. But once it sets, it's long lasting and it's really good in that respect. I'm going to move on to eyes next. And I'm going to use the palette Sunlit. Because they're minerals, you just need to apply them in a slightly different way so you get more payoff. So I'm going to start with this middle brownie colour. And I'm going to go straight in with my ring finger. Dab it on to the centres of my eyelids. Like this. And honestly, it's like anyone can do this. Onto the mobile eyelid where your eyeball is, smudge it on. It doesn't matter that it's really messy because we're going to use a brush in a second just to even that all out, but that's how it's looking at the moment. So using a brush, I'm going to go back in to the brown colour. It's called Sun Warm 2, and I'm just going to do little circular motions and blend that out. And I'm just going to take that under the lash line as a bit of kind of warmth. And to join it all kind of together, really. So I'm taking it from kind of where the pupil is outwards, and I'm not taking it too far in here because that can make my eyes look even smaller, and they are pretty small as it is. I'm then going to pick up the lightest colour. It's called Sandy, and I'm going to put that on the inner corners of my eyes just to brighten those up a little bit. And then I'm going to take a little bit under the eyebrows. When I've done that, I'm going to use my taupe brow gel just to give a bit of fullness to the eyebrows. I tend to brush away from the way they grow and then brush them towards the ears at the end, and then I get maximum coverage. Final touches, I'm going to go in with their black eye pencil. It's really nice and soft. It's called Onyx, on top of my eyelashes, and I'm just going to do a really, really smudgy, messy line. I'm not going to worry too much because I'm going to smudge it with my brush. I'm just going to soften that line, brushing along my eyelashes. And then I'm going to flick that out a little bit, just into a little bit of a flick at the edge there. If I go a bit too nuts, and I feel like I have here, I've gone a bit too over, I'm just going to get my cotton bud, twist it as I go, and just clean up a little bit. Final touch is mascara. In at the root and wiggle, in at the root and wiggle, in at the root and wiggle. I'm going to use the end of the wand just to do the tops of the lashes, same on the other eye. And then I'm going to use the end of the wand to do the lower lashes. And I don't have many, but I'm just going to try and pick up what I do. And then I'm going to do a second coat. Same application and technique, in at the root and wiggle. And I'm going to focus on the outer ones now, just to try and get more of a flick. Make my eyes look a little bit more lifted. Final thing I'm going to do is put some setting spray on. This is really nice. It's 97% skincare. Just a quickie, if you wanted to just switch it up a little bit more, if you go in with the gold colour, it's called Golden Hour, you can literally just put this in the centre of your mobile eyelid. It just gives it a little bit of a pop. There's also a really nice green shade, which when I first saw it, I thought, oh, I'm never going to wear that. But actually, that's really nice as well. So I could just go, I'll show you the difference. I'll do one on one eye and one on the other. I think they're quite nice, just to switch things up, try and make things a bit different. Let me know what you think.